Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our virtual coffee break. Welcome, welcome. We're going to go over a few housekeeping tips and reminders before we get started. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat or the Q&A window at any time. We'll have time at the end, and for everything else, you can contact us at sales@tristaterestores.com. We are recording. Links to view the PDF and the video presentation will be shared with you tomorrow morning through Zoom. For everything else, visit our website at tristaterestores.com/VCB for a complete archive. 10 lucky attendees today will receive a $5 gift card for Starbucks. Stay to the end and find out how you can scoop up this prize. After the coffee break, please complete the post-event survey. We will be seeing you guys September 25th, and we'd like to know what you would like for us to talk about. Good morning, Ms. Valerie, and good morning, Ms. Valerie. If you like today's presentation, we sincerely hope you do. We'd love for you to share a review of our education offerings on Google. This is subject to Google's approval process, but if we see your review pop up, we will send you a gift card. And stay to the end. One lucky attendee will be winning a Crumble prize pack. So who we are, for those of you that are new on today's call, we are Tri-State Restorations, a local family-owned, operated, and established firm. We're an independent commercial and residential disaster recovery firm based in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We service Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, and some parts of Pennsylvania. We specialize in the mitigation, remediation, removal, cleanup, and restoration efforts of both large and small water, fire, mold, biohazard, lead, and odor cause damages. Our company's mission is turning disaster into peace of mind because we're committed to easing the burden of handling your property's disaster by providing you with the best customer service and experience possible. Good morning, Ms. Robin, and good morning to Kia. Thank you guys for joining us. Getting into our suite of services, as I mentioned before, we help people out with water extraction, mitigation, and property restoration. We do both. We're your full service contractor. We help with the water damages and with the reconstruction efforts. We do mold remediation and lead abatement, fire, smoke restoration and odor control, biohazard and trauma disinfection and cleanup, and sewage mitigation, extraction, and disinfection. We are an ICRC certified firm, EPA lead safe firm, IQA smart mold firm, and we're 5-star rated across all of the wonderful sites that count. All of our employees are infectious disease and bloodborne pathogen certified, and we have an EPA licensed asbestos inspector on staff. We also belong to a bunch of wonderful area organizations like the Property Management Association. We're members of 2 chapters of CAI, and we're also members of AOBA. So let's get into it. Categories of water damage. But first, what is water? H2O, water is comprised of water molecules, H2O molecules. It comes out of our faucets, flows underground and in rivers, oceans, and forms clouds and fogs in the air. But did you know it can also travel very quickly? Water spreads rapidly in an upside-down T shape, going with gravity, traveling down and then outwards until it cannot migrate any further. Water is also rapidly absorbed by porous materials, including floors, yes, even concrete, walls, soft furnishings, and much more. Examining a water source. We utilize the IICRC kind of as our guide to all things mitigation. And the IRCRC states that before restoration begins, the source or sources of moisture intrusion should be located and eliminated, repaired, or contained to the extent practical. In some cases, it may be appropriate to mitigate the spread of damage by starting procedures like humidity control, water extractions, things that help prevent additional migration, aka stop the hemorrhaging, make sure that we're preventing additional damages from happening, and then we can go to fixing a source. A great example of this would be if there is a localized water shutoff valve, perhaps your hot water tank kind of exploded, as they do after about 15 or 20 years. You can actually shut off the water valve to that appliance And we can proceed with mitigation services while you're waiting to get the pipe or appliance repaired. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. Every situation is very unique, just like your body, your home, your office, your building. It is very unique, and every situation takes a different set of circumstances to take care of it properly. Our standard operating procedures, as I mentioned, the IICRC S500. It is an ANSI accredited standard that describes the procedures to be followed and the precautions to be taken when performing water damage restoration in both residential, commercial, and institutional buildings, and the systems and personnel property contained within those structures. It is the purpose of the standard to define criteria and methodology used by the restorer for inspecting and investigating water damage and associated contamination, and for establishing water damage restoration work plans and procedures. Basically, this is our guidebook of recommendations for how we proceed with anything. Categories of water as defined by the IACRC. We operate and adhere to the industry standard and operating procedures as produced by the IACRC. The IACRC standard S500 is a procedural standard that defines the three categories of water and the correct procedures to mitigate each. The S500 defines these three categories as Category 1, sanitary or quote unquote clean water, and that is technically a misnomer, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Category 2 water is contaminated or quote unquote gray water. Category 3 is grossly contaminated or black water. Knowing the difference between Category 2 and Category 3 hazards are an important part of the restoration process. The ICRCS 500 tells us that Category 1 revolves around clean water sources. More on this in the next slide. Category 2 is a slightly contaminated water source, and Category 3, or quote-unquote black water, is a highly contaminated water source. What this definition doesn't specify, though, is how a water source's category can dramatically change based on the materials and substances it comes in contact with throughout the migration path within your property's building materials. So basically, where is that water traveling? What is it traveling through? All of the different things that water touches as it's traveling down through gravity and then, an upside down T shape and it's spreading outwards. Is it touching drywall? Is it touching plaster? Is it touching asbestos containing materials? Is it touching carpeting? And maybe there's pets in that residence. And as we know, pets tend to have accidents. So there's a lot that goes into this and the methodology behind whether or not we classify it as one category versus another. Category 1 water classification equals clean water source, but does it? While Category 1 is classified as the IRCRC as clean water, it's important to know this classification is only specific to the source. For instance, the water supply line, or the actual sink faucet, or the actual water going in the appliance, whatever the case may be. It does not classify the affected building materials the water has migrated through. While the source of the water intrusion and damages may be clean from a sink, supply line, refrigerator, the affected materials it touches and migrates through are not. It looks clean, but is it? This is where a true professional comes in. Common materials that we see water migrate through from clean water sources, ultimately containing the water, include carpet and padding, storage items, clothing, books, curtains, other personal belongings. If water travels down a lead paint wall or through an asbestos-containing materials like plaster or mastic, this seemingly harmless situation is now especially dangerous, even though the original damages were from a clean water source. Water also migrates through contaminants within these building materials, including volatile organic compounds or VOCs, and organic agents like pet dander, urine, etc. Certain materials such as concrete, plaster, ceramic tile, and brick may even require specialty equipment and drying methods to properly mitigate these damages, as those, types of materials are actually quite porous. Category 2, water is significantly contaminated. The IICRC has 500 defines Category 2 water damage incidents as water that contains significant contamination and has the potential to cause discomfort or sickness if contacted or consumed by humans. We find that the majority of water-related damages fall under this category. So this entire office unfortunately flooded, and all of this water came up from the ground level from here. There was a significant rainstorm in the DC metro area, and the sewage systems unfortunately could not handle the influx of water, and so water began backing up into residences and businesses. Category 3 is defined as water that is grossly contaminated and contain pathogenic, toxinogenic, or other harmful agents that can cause significant adverse reactions to humans if contacted or consumed. Examples of Category 3 water damage can include sewage and wastewater line backup, seawater, wind-driven rain from hurricanes and tropical storms. If you're not sure what type of water damage you have or what you may be susceptible to, when in doubt, always call in an expert. We are available to help you as an expert in your corner, especially for those that reside in the DC metro area. These are all examples of Category 3. These are all, unfortunately, sorry for those that have not eaten their breakfast yet. These are all sewage backup examples. But it's not just poop. Category 3 can also look like this. Or this. Ground surface water and rising water from rivers or streams and other contaminated water entering or affecting the indoor environment, such as tropical storms, wind-driven hurricanes, and other weather-related events, are also categorized as Category 3 because the water is actually harmful to you. A quick response equals less time for water to migrate, settle, and cause unnecessary secondary damages. If you remember back in the beginning of this presentation, we talked about the need to try to make sure that the source of a water intrusion has been fixed before proceeding with mitigation. At the end of the day, we never want anybody to go through the mitigation process twice. We always want to try to ensure that there's no additional, opportunity for water to continue to migrate and affect building materials, affect your property. However, there are some instances where we can, like I said with the shutoff valve example, come out and help respond, stop the hemorrhaging, so to speak, get everything back on a good path and start to stabilize the environment. So, like I said, every property damage is different. It's just like when you go to the hospital, every human being is different. Every procedure that a doctor would take to help remedy you is going to be different from another person next to you. We recommend a response time within the first 24 to 48 hours, especially here in these hot summer months. It's going to be a scorcher today. The summer heat, humidity, all it does is become a more conducive environment for mold and microbial growth. Responding quickly helps prevent these secondary damages. It also helps prevent water from migrating to additional unaffected areas of your property. In the end, saving you tons of time and money to help take care of this properly. Finding and eliminating the source. Well, typically the source of the damages will need to be fixed prior to extraction and mitigation, as we discussed. This does ensure that your property is no longer at risk of further intrusion and damages. However, that's not always the case. If the water source is from a pinhole leak or a hot water heater and the pipe can be shut off prior to a permanent resolution taking place, like calling a plumber, a restoration company can proceed prior to having the source fixed. Common causes of water damage include plumbing issues or accidents, appliance malfunctions. We see this commonly in dishwashers, refrigerators, ice maker lines, washing machines, hot water heaters, or HVAC systems. Especially now in these really, really hot summer months, everybody check your air conditioning drain pans. Make sure you don't have any standing water there. That would be a red flag, and you want to make sure you're getting that taken care of before the water actually starts to migrate outside of that drain pan. Mainline backups, sub pump failures, heavy rains and flooding, poor property grading or foundation issues. We have an entire coffee break all about this and different resources you can use to help repair these items for your property. roof leaks or damages, and natural disasters like hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes. Interesting to say tornadoes in the Washington DC area, but recent events have led me to believe that we need to add this into our repertoire. Hurricane preparedness, we are still technically in hurricane season through September. Just want to add this in here to make sure everyone is staying on top and is aware of all the different resources available. What damage does it do? Well, floodwater and tidewater intrusions are considered Category 3 losses. Category 3 water loss contains grossly contaminated water. Your restoration company contractor should remove all affected cosmetic materials, such as insulation, hardwood flooring, drywall, carpet padding, carpet and cushions. Tri-State Restorations uses an antimicrobial spray and HEPA vacuuming to help disinfect items after Category 3 water damage incidents. A lot of times these are just found unsalvageable, unfortunately, and do have to be disposed of. So make sure that you are keeping up to date with your insurance policy and that all of your personal property is covered just in case you do end up having a loss. Let's see, would water infiltration of asbestos containing substances require full asbestos remediation, or would the removal be able to be limited to the damaged area only? So David, that is an excellent question. And I've seen this happen both ways. It all depends on where the water travels and if those asbestos containing materials have become friable or not. And by friable, it means that it's starting to break open, it's starting to become aerosolized. Asbestos containing materials are only dangerous once they become friable and aerosolized and we start to breathe in those fibers. That's the part that's really, really dangerous, that causes all kinds of terrible health issues and unfortunately death. So really, when in doubt, the best thing to do is make sure you're having a full moisture assessment, call out the experts, make sure you're getting eyes on site to give you their professional opinion. Because as I mentioned, every disaster is different, and there's a different way of approaching each. So every property is different as well. But when in doubt, just make sure you're bringing in all of the experts to your corner. You'd want to have an asbestos abatement contractor and mitigation contractor working in tandem together to make sure that they're resolving that for you. Let's talk about secondary damages. We've mentioned a lot of needing to be speedy, needing to get active and quickly start to mitigate damages because we don't want secondary damages. This right here, this photo on the right, this is what happens to your subfloor when unfortunately you have a water intrusion and you do not properly dry everything out. What happened in this instance, this person had, luxury vinyl tile, plank flooring on top of this subfloor here. And the water basically became trapped between that layer of flooring and the subfloor. And over the course of between 6 months to a year, the subfloor started to rot away. This is what happens there, mold and microbial growth, find it as a delicious food source. They start to break down those building materials. And, now this person, instead of having to just replace that one top layer of flooring, they're having to completely re-floor their entire home, and fix all of these structural issues that has been caused because of the delay. So as defined by the ISJRC, throughout the drying process, restorers should inspect for water-related secondary damages. Secondary damage is defined as the wetting or impairment of the appearance or function of a material from a prolonged indirect exposure to water or indirect exposure to contamination carried by the resulting from the current water intrusion, which is reversible or permanent. Restorers like Tri-State inspect for excessive humidity and elevated moisture levels or moisture content in the areas adjacent to the affected area to ensure that we are completely drying out your property properly to a dry standard and bringing you back to normal. Weathering the storm. It's important when we are facing horrific weather conditions and natural disasters to stay indoors. Stay away from windows and glass. Never operate a portable generator inside your home. Never connect a generator directly to your home's wiring unless a transfer switch has been installed. Always use GFCIs in areas where water and electricity may come in contact. Hurricane preparedness, get an insurance checkup. This is great for any time of year. We recommend to our clients to, at a minimum, check in with their local insurance agent on their policy annually. I do it twice annually. I never know. I want to make sure that my policy has all of the different add-ons that I need to make sure that I'm saving myself tens of thousands of dollars if anything does happen to my property. Some things for you to take a look at on your policy. Look for mainline backup insurance and leakage and seepage coverage. They're often add-ons to your policy and rarely are ever included in a typical blanket policy. And for less than $100 a year, you can protect yourself from very costly mitigation and restoration services. So this coverage is not typically included unless you ask for it. And if you experience a loss as a result of a sewer drain, sub pump, or related equipment, even if the overflow or discharge occurred because of a mechanical issue, not having this coverage could put you out tens of thousands of dollars. And in closing, following proper mitigation standards after a leak, flood, fire, or trauma loss is reported is crucial to saving you time, money, and preventing unnecessary secondary damages to your property. If you suspect you have water damage or need any assistance with emergency services, we're available 24/7 to help you with your disaster. Give us a call. Our experts are always answering the phone 24/7. We don't have any call centers here. You will always reach a live representative of Tri-State Restorations. With that, I'm gonna open it up for any questions. I was trying to grab some questions throughout as people were asking them. Um, let's see here. What is a typical difference between category 1 and category 2? So, as we mentioned, category 1 water damage is it's the direct water source. So, the water coming directly out of your faucet into your cup. That's category 1. Category 2 would be the water comes out of your faucet, your sink overflows, water touches your floor, migrates through your floor down to your basement ceiling cavity. That would definitely be a great example of category 2 because it's touching all of those different materials. Your feet touch your kitchen floor, your pet's feet touch your kitchen floor, food spills on your kitchen floor. Your ceiling cavity has insulation. It has other building materials. So you have to think about the migration path of the water in order to determine whether it's category 1 or category 2 or even category 3. Any other questions, guys? I'm going to leave this open. If anybody else has anything they'd like me to help address, happy to do so. Just share it in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on it, but we're going to keep things rolling because I know somebody wants to win some delicious crumble cookies today. So let's do my random number generator here and get one lucky winner for some delicious cookies. Of course, you're welcome. Let's see. Um, Sorry, it's taking me a while to get to number 40. Okay. Mr. Matthew Jackson, congratulations. You just won yourself some crumble cookies today, sir. So give me a shout out after the presentation. You can email me at sales@tristaterestores.com. We will hook you up with your delicious prize. Thank you again for attending. But wait, there's more. Don't go away. For the first 10 responses that let me know what they learned today, they will get a $5 Starbucks gift card. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are all paying attention. Let's read through some of these. Water damage can impact HVAC systems, especially spreading. Beautiful. Strategic placement of air movers, signaling space. Yeah. Get mitigation within the first 24 hours. Yes, correct. Respond immediately to damages. Correct. Different categories of water damage can be obtained in the water. Yep, based on where the water runs through. Beautiful, guys. I'm so glad you guys learned so much. Thank you. Now, but wait, there's even more. For the first local agent and community manager to tell me, I will be bringing you guys donuts. Okay, great. Kelly, Mallory, you two have just won donuts for your office. Thank you, lovely. I will be reaching out to you to coordinate a drop off and pop in visit. I cannot wait to reconnect with you guys. And that concludes today's presentation. I hope everyone had fun, learned a little something, has something to take back with them to their day to day. And I do appreciate all of you guys joining me. Please let me know what you'd like me to continue teaching you. I am open to any and all suggestions as long as it relates to kind of property damage or remedy. Let me know, share your contact information and your topic in the survey that comes to you directly after this event. Here's how to contact us. If you're not already following us and you haven't checked out our website, I highly encourage you do so. We share a lot of wonderful tips day to day. And we will see you all September 25th. Thank you all so much. It was wonderful hanging out with you guys this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day and week. We will see you next month. Take care, everybody. Oh, Mallory, thank you. You're so sweet. I'll reach out to both of you. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good one.